Re-
Hi, everyone. We've got a very full evening tonight. And for those of you who are in interesting weather, stay warm, stay smart, don't do stupid stuff. And I'm just thankful we've got sun and the ice is clearing up and it's 45 degrees. It's great. So, Stephanie, you said you had a testimony you wanted to share. Are you ready to just unmute yourself and share, please?
Sure. I have lots of testimonies, but I'll just give a real short one in relation to what she had mentioned earlier about using the Liberty. So I'll try to cut it short, but I've been a massage therapist for 30 years. And in the last 5, 6 years, I've started having extreme pain in my hands and thumbs to the point where I've not been able to do just very limited amount of massages and very easy people. So I was very excited to start with the Freedom Patch for the pain. I started with that one. I feel like it brought my pain down probably to about 75%, but I was still feeling it in my thumb joints. It helped with the wrist. Um, but it didn't take it away completely, which is okay. I was like, I'll take 75%, you know? Um, and then as I got to listening and watching, reading stories and on the Facebook page, the patches, the testimonial one, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to try the Liberty. And I wasn't going to try it necessarily for my hands, but just kind of overall general. Um, so I started using that one along with Defend. So I'm like, well, is it Liberty? Is it Defend? Is it a combination of both? But I'm telling you that it has brought down my pain to, I'm going to say 95%. And that's just on occasion when I'm working. Every once in a while, I feel a little zing. But it's like, it made me realize what everybody's been saying is Liberty. Everybody needs to be on Liberty. It is the iOS. It's like start with that one and then start to add in some of the other patches. I mean, I know that may not be the case for everybody, but me, I'm 58, got a lot of stuff still going on. I mean, that is one of the areas that it has helped tremendously, the most noticeable, along with just mobility, more energy, more balance, because I also have the ADD, the crazy brain. It has calmed that down. I feel like I don't even need the peace patch because it's done such a great job in balancing and bringing homeostasis. So, yeah, just wanted to throw,
I just want to make sure I understood. You did freedom first,
yes,
then you stopped freedom, and you did liberty and defend.
yes,
It's all about play, notice, and discover.
yes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing. And Brenda, are you at a point where you can share or you want to finish getting home?
She's driving.
She's driving,
She'll
so
text. She'll raise her hand when she wants to. Keep
yep.
driving. We can come back and do it later, Brenda. Don't.
Don't be unsafe. Safety is far more important. Okay, a couple of things to share in your notes. I read this and I thought of our amazing team. Are you aware that your smile is your logo? Super Patch may have a logo, but your smile, especially when you activate it, says a whole lot. And your personality is your business card. And how others feel after they experience you is your trademark. So if you've ever had people kind of give you interesting responses, find someone who's very safe, but who will also give you honest feedback and just ask them, how do you experience me? How do you experience me? We had an interesting conversation today, and I had different thoughts, and I didn't go down the rabbit hole with the thoughts. I just said, okay, Forrest, how did you experience what happened? He gave that to me. The Lord showed me where I could have been offended, and I decided, no, I'm not going there. So, I did all the things I teach in Easy with forgiveness.
It wasn't a call for me. It was a call with somebody else.
True, it wasn't Forrest. Forrest just happened to be on the call, so he would have had perspective. And then I just asked the Lord to bless the person. So all I'm saying is sometimes just asking somebody safe, how do you experience me? Sometimes they'll give you interesting feedback that you can use to grow. And other times it's a confirmation that, I'm really on track. So like, even though Stephanie didn't ask for feedback, Stephanie was courageous. Would you all agree? She asked if she could share. She shared. She shared succinctly. It was her story, and it was clear she owned it. That's a win, right? And can you all do that? You can all do that.
Because it's called what? This is such a good. Remember, this is not a science class. This is show and tell. And I said this kind of inappropriately the other day. You don't have to be the sharpest tech in the class to be the show and tell kid. In fact, what I noticed when I taught school is it was just the kids that were happy. The really smart ones had to figure everything out, but the little innocent ones, the fun ones, the ones that were just like whatever, they did show and tell so well because they just got up and were excited about their show and tell. They didn't think it through. So remember, show and tell is, I think, just a great moniker for what we do. I got to make a shirt that says show and tell. That might be it, not be, depending on where you go, where you want to wear that.
Okay. The next thing is Ignite. I had someone ask about it, and I said, well, basically it burns about 500 calories a day, and it improves metabolism. And so this client and friend sent back this list, and she said, it takes all of these things individually to burn 500 calories, or I can put a patch on. And I thought, well, that's an easy thing. So you could go run for 45 minutes. You could cycle for an hour. You could dance Zumba for an hour. You could go swim for 45 minutes. You could hike. You could rock climb, put a patch on and do one of those. And now you're up to 1,000 calories.
You still need to get outside and move.
So I'm not saying don't move. That's not the point. But to improve metabolism and burn calories, that's a really big deal. And I was working with someone who had been on Ignite, had lost about 10 pounds in about 8 weeks. And then she said, well, just quit working. And I've just learned that if something's working, and it doesn't, something changed. And by asking enough questions, she finally said, well, my doctor found that my sleep apnea test really got messed up after I had a bunch of organic wine, red wine. And he said, I told you that doesn't work for you. The issue is the mold that's in wine. And that triggered her sleep issue. And that was right when the results she was getting from Ignite seemed to quit. So when you're talking with people and they say it worked and then it just didn't, learn to help people. What changed, what was different, what happened before, what happened. The better you get at questions, not having all the answers, just asking questions, you can really help people a lot. Now, the next thing came from one of the patch groups, and it was so well written by a mom. So two of the things I've got in here tonight are for moms and for children. So what she said is, here's what we don't talk about enough. When we are unhealed, this season is incredibly triggering for kids and adults. Ever since 2020, and especially kids who are in school during 2020 or not in school. There's so many things that hit our nervous system and our brains, and this is really important for parents, grandparents to know, not only for yourselves, but for children. You can read everything is in the notes, but moving on, we want to help our kids develop a healthy nervous system and neurology for life. A drug-free technology designed to activate neurocodes, support the nervous system, and help the brain access its full potential without chemicals. That's a whole mouthful, but it's a really big deal. As a mom, this changed how I support my children. I will never go without, so this is the mom speaking for her kids. I will never go without Kick It, Peace, and Joy. We're offering neurological pathway support, interrupting negative thought cycles. Do you know how many kids struggle with feeling inadequate, not enough, not feeling good about themselves? I don't remember as a kid having a lot of those thoughts. Maybe in junior high they started happening, but it's happening with really young kids today. Supporting calmer, more regulated nervous systems, giving our children tools instead of labels. So important because we never are talking about labels, we're just talking about symptoms. This is about building brains, not suppressing emotions. It's about regulating before reasoning. It's about helping our kids feel safe in their bodies so they can grow into who they were meant to be.
Linda and I were talking today, and I've been reading stuff in the news, and I'm looking at kids, and I'm looking, if we're going to heal our nation, it's got to start with the education system. And this is kind of my overall plea to everybody. Lene said, these kids growing up with AI are losing the ability to think. She's working with them coming into college. They're not learning to think. They're not learning to write. They're just pushing buttons to get information. We use AI for lifestyle for health in the context of we're already thinking. Our brains have already been developed. So yes, the patch is helpful, but I just want to continually always encourage us. Where are young people in your life that you can help develop their brains? Where, get them out, teach them, get them playing, get their phones turned off. We as adults who've been around a long time have got to get kids reconnected so that their brains actually grow and develop. I put a post up, I put it in the notes. A fellow did a really good, about 10-minute video on YouTube on the power of journaling and writing, pen and paper. Doretta read that. And I remember when I taught fifth grade and fourth grade, I would assess the kids when they came in and have them write something. We'd pin their papers up on the wall. And then we would leave that as the measuring point for how they developed as we went through the year. And you could see their handwriting develop, their sentence structure develop, their cursive writing, their neatness on their paper. All of that grew with their brains growing. And we'll talk about it a little bit more later during my segment. But I really, really want to be encouraging you as adults that paper and pencil are key for your brain development, for your thinking. In that video, he goes into the different parts of the brain that are activated based on what you're writing about. So all of the negatives, the positives, the creative, all of that matters when we're writing. And somebody, when I started journaling a while back, somebody said, well, I use my keypad for journaling. It is not the same. This is different for your brain. So if you're struggling, write and go. Brenda, Dr. Brenda. Hands up.
Okay, I just want to make just 2 sentences. I just saw a post of someone who wrote their name, then put the Liberty patch on and rewrote their name. The difference was night and day. So if you have issues with handwriting, which can be real common with kids for lots and lots of reasons, eye, hand, all kinds of brain issues, write something, doesn't matter what you write, just write something, put on a Liberty patch, maybe take 10 seconds and write, see if there's a difference. So, Brenda, let's hear your story.
Okay. So I just pulled over on the side of the road because I won't be home for a while. But so I have a staff member who is new to my office. She's a retired nurse. She's 70 and she's interested in the patches. So she said, can I try that REM patch? So she used it. And the next morning she told me her watch tracks her stuff. And she usually gets like 25 minutes of REM. She got an hour and 2 minutes of REM with the REM patch on. So she's like massively excited. I videotaped her walking because she has horrible balance. She's had back fusion and hip replacement. So I videotaped her walk down the hall, and she'd never been adjusted before. So I had adjusted her, then I had her walk down the hall, videotaped her, came back through a Liberty patch on her, and had her walk again. And she got halfway down the hall, and she said, "What the heck is this?" So she watched Cheryl's class, the recording, and said, if I put on the Liberty patch and the Victory patch, I would be unstoppable, or at least I wouldn't fall. So she said it's such amazing technology, and she's now just ordered her patches today. She's super, super, super excited. So kind of awesome.
I want to add to that, the big piece you just said, she's 70 and she has confidence that she won't fall.
Exactly.
So much for people the age of most of this community about falling.
Yep.
And, like I told Holly one day, we were talking about, I said, Holly, if we only reduce your risk of falling by 20%,
that's huge.
That's huge from a statistical standpoint.
Can I tell you one other quick little buzz?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I have another patient. I don't see him very often in my office. I see his wife all the time. And he came in, which is very rare. He says, "Oh, my neck's messed up." I said, "Well, what else is new? I haven't seen you for a while." And he said, "Well, I was diagnosed with a very bad abdominal disorder. I won't say what it is, but it starts with a C." And he said, "I'm just miserable." He said, "There's days I feel great. I've changed my diet. There's days the pain is so bad I can barely move." And so I said, "Would you mind if I put a couple patches on you?" And he said, "Sure." So I started to explain it, and he's like, "Just send the information to Karen on a text." So I put Liberty on him and Defend on him. And his wife called me the next day and said, he had the best day that he's had in 2 years. So she hopped on the global call and then was in my office on Monday and said, "Tell me what I need to do. I'm ready." So kind of cool, fun stuff.
Not to belabor me, but I think that intro and then the overview on the patches for that from that global call, the feedback we're getting is people go, well, that sounds good, and that sounds good, and that sounds good, and it opens the door to a curiosity in playing with different combinations. It's not about selling every patch, although we had one person call and say, well, can I just put them all on? I said, well, you could, but probably not where I would start.
So at convention, get this, they're rolling out what do we call that? The pull your hair off your shoulder, those peels. They're rolling out self-peel kits. So if you're too hairy, they're gonna have these little kits that you can peel the hair off your back yourself in case nobody will do it for you, so you have a place to put your patches.
Did you make that up?
No, Elaine told me today it's like called the patch and peel kit, the peel and patch kit.
That may or may not be true. Do not quote that to anybody outside of this room. Okay, in case you've noticed, Forrest is wearing part of his costume because on Saturday night it's a Roaring Twenties Al Capone evening, and Forrest has quite the
Bill
look.
went online and had me buy a costume. I hate costumes. I just really
but this one so looks like Forrest that he'll just rock it. So I'm sure we'll get pictures. It'll be fun. Anna and Desiree are trying to figure out what in the world to do as his allies in crime.
said I'm going back to the room early.
I'll go back to the room because it'll probably be too much sensory overload. Okay.
Stephanie's got her hand up.
Yes, Steph.
And if you don't have time to address it right now, but she said that I've had a question about abusing the liberty and the victory because I hear different things, a lot of similarities. So what do you think? Just, I know, play and discover.
Lene and I played with those. When Lene and I did the video that we did on the balance test, we played with both of them on both of us. So use the balance test. And I did better with victory. She did better, I think, with liberty. I don't know about two of them, but the balance test, remember the balance test, now Brenda knows this. In her world, my world, is called Romberg's. Romberg is a balance assessment that is used on particularly seniors to measure their neurological safety. In other words, when you go in for your senior citizen exams, the doctors are always wanting to assess your ability to stay balanced. So the balance test is not a little hokey MLM gimmick. It's a real bona fide assessment that we used in all of our neuro training. So you guys want to practice with that, get good at doing it, and you use that, you put the patches on. Now, sometimes this makes it a little more complicated. Sometimes different side, sometimes different places, but by and large, you should be able to get the same results wherever you put them. But I would use, especially on those two, I would do the balance test. And then with me, I do the balance test standing on one foot because Cheryl doesn't like balance testing me too much, but I do it standing on one foot while I swing my kettlebell on the other hand. And I can get a self-assessment of how I'm doing with those two.
Can I say something?
Just let me finish this. A distinction, Stephanie, between the two is liberty is balance and vagus nerve.
Okay.
Victory is performance and balancing weak and dominant side. So if you have a balance issue and you have a real strong dominant and a weak side, the two together might give the most response. So that's where you get to play, notice, and discover.
Okay, thank you.
Can I say something?
Yes.
I'm Doretta. I use both. I've been playing a lot of pickleball, and I use the Liberty because of the vagus nerve and the balance. But the Victory, I'm telling you, I am almost 10 years older than most of the people I'm playing pickleball with, and I am knocking the socks off of them.
So do you share what you're doing, or you keep it as a secret weapon?
They wanted to know how old I was, and I wouldn't tell them.
Sounds like you.
I know it's called pride, but yeah, they know about the patches. I'll tell you, and several of them are using them. It's amazing.
Now, and I will say, Doretta's stocked up on patches, so whenever she's out and about, she has patches to go. You know, she's got somebody needs patches. She's got them in her purse. She can collect cash for them. She is the patch lady wherever she goes.
Okay, there's one other
In my bag.
story.
The patch bag lady.
There's one other story in your notes that it just really touched my heart. I think it's because I just really love kids. And I love that we've been honored with adopted sons and daughters and adopted grandchildren. We've just had the opportunity continually to speak into kids' lives. So it kind of matters to us. But this one came out of the Patch Testimony and Info group. It's a great place to go and just look at testimonies and stories. But when a new mom bursts out crying because her daughter is breathing easier within minutes, and they just put a patch on that little baby's back, which means the baby can't reach back here, pull it off, and put it in its mouth. This is a big deal. It's a big deal. When you can help a child and then calm the mom down, it's a double. That's just, those things really, really bless me. I was just speaking with a grandmother with her 8th grandchild, and the mom just had a baby. Everybody else in the family has been sick. And I said, I don't know what their paradigm is, but it might be really good if they all started wearing Defend so that the baby doesn't get sick. And she said, I think they might be open to it because they can't take the kids anywhere because they get sick. So you never know what doors open. And
Did
this,
which patch that was?
it didn't say which patch it was. It was blue.
Ricky
the
Lane said that
second, it was blue in the colored pictures. I'm going to assume Defend, but they didn't say.
or peace.
Could have been Peace.
Peace really good for pussy babies.
Well, that makes sense. So the pictures are now out for the new patches that we're going to be getting next week. Zen, which is for cognition and memory. I think that one might be really.
Phyllis just posted that she saw the picture and it says Defend. Okay, thanks, Phyllis.
Okay, thank you. Defend is what I would have thought. The Zen is purple, so it's going to be an easy new color. The other one is Assure, and that's for nausea, and it's another blue. So I think that gives us like 3 or 4 blue patches. I'm just really excited to learn about both of those because the application for both of them are significant. So it's like, since I tend to wear mine on my upper thigh this way, and then the next day it's on the other side, it'll just be a longer little line of patches because I'm excited to give them a try.
Cheryl, that was a home run. Thank you. Thank you. I can kiss your whole face for that. I tried it last night. Works great.
Which
Thank
was
you.
that you tried?
I did all of them on my upper thigh. My whole stomach area is just all broke out and it just doesn't do well there. So I just put a whole row of them along the top of my thigh. I could kiss your whole face for that because they're still on, even with pickleball, and they work great and no problem. Thank you.
So I'll just piggyback on that because I have put patches. Well, I tend to do boost here and I tend to do REM here. Somebody's got some background noise. But all the others, I just do at the very top of my thigh going across this way. Because just once I heard Jay say, don't put them in a line this way because that impacts an entire meridian, although I've seen him do it like this. I don't know how accurate that is or how important, but I just run it across my upper thigh because if I do it in other places like abdomen or up here, I'll notice that I might get a little bit red or it might be itchy when I take it off. But if I just do it on one thigh and the next day it's the other thigh, I've had no issues. Now, of course, everybody is different. I have other people that do really well around the ankles or top of foot, bottom of foot. The key is that you play and discover what works for you and don't keep doing it in the same places.
And that's what I wanted to tell you. My liberty and my victory are on my feet, different places on my feet, and I really like that.
And that's really good, especially in the summer in places that are hot like Florida or places where you sweat real easily because the feet don't sweat as much as other places. So sometimes that one's really effective for people that can sweat easily. Any other questions, comments, or quick stories before I turn it over to the man of the hour?
Taking his hat off when it's my turn. Monica, go ahead. Monica, your hand's up, or Mark, your hand. Well, Mark's hand's up. I didn't read that right.
Yes.
Ann's hand's up.
So I was having trouble with the REM patch of trying to use it again. If they're for 24 hours, I thought maybe I'd get 3 nights out of it. So if I have a blood test, they put an elastic around me instead of using tape. So when I take it off in the morning, the first, I put it on the elastic REM, and then I can use it again for 2 nights, and I'm sleeping like 6+ hours.
Using the elastic.
So I'm getting it to adhere.
So that's really key. This is where you can play. Like if you do boost just during the day and you do REM just at night, put it back on the backing, see if you can reuse it, see what you notice. Because if you can save some money, just means you can play with another patch. Thank you for sharing, Anne. Anybody else? Yes, the whole call is recorded, so there's always a replay, and it goes on our website, lifestyleforhealth.com. If you're in our Lifestyle for Health private Facebook group page, it's also posted there.
I'm running a little bit behind on keeping up with all that stuff. So are you done? Am I moving now?
Yes, it's yours.
I do have a question. This is Priscilla.
Uh-huh.
The recording or the video that you did for Elaine, is there any way you can take out the very beginning where Elaine is talking?
I took out about half of it, Priscilla.
Okay.
But I left part of it because she actually gave an introduction for Cheryl that Cheryl responded to.
Okay.
I really played with how much to leave in, how much to take out.
Yeah. Okay.
But I left just a little bit of it because she did do a good job talking about who Cheryl was for new people.
Yeah, she did. There was some indication of, that we're a team. I mean,
Right.
it sounded network marketing kind of stuff.
Yeah, I wrestled with that for about 20 minutes and finally I
Okay.
just patched it
Okay.
and posted it.
And that's
Okay.
one that's on our website. And the notes that I used for each of the patches is in your notes this time.
Oh,
Yep.
tremendous.
So all the patch overview, I'm going to tell you a little secret that happened. I had my notes all written down. It's not like I don't know those pretty much inside and out, but somehow in the process, page 2, I could not find. So I had 3 patches at the end. It was Boost, Lumi, and Freedom. And I got clear to the end and I picked up the Freedom packet and it was like,
What's it for?
I hit a brain blank. Have you ever had a brain total blank? I looked at it and went, what in the world does Freedom do? I had 2 on because of dealing with an injury. So if you get all the way to the end with Freedom, just know that at that particular point, I had a brain freeze happen. And whatever I said from there until the end, hopefully there was something anointed and it had to be God because it wasn't me.
Yeah.
But the rest of it and leading with Defend, because I'm finding a lot of people haven't really discovered how significant that is. I think we have some important things to share. And then in the notes today, all those patches, the symptoms that go with each of the pathways are in there. So yes, you can use the 1-page front and back that corporate has. That's great. You can also show people this because they'll go, oh, well, it tends to open up more ideas of what might be helpful. Thank you,
Cheryl,
Priscilla.
do you think you can share with us what you read on this call about children? That letter or note that you read. I thought it was excellently written. Do you know what I'm saying?
I did read it.
I know you read it. Is there any way you can share it with us so that we would have a copy? Or
It's in your notes. It's in
Oh,
your
it
notes
is?
from tonight. Yes. Trust me,
Thank
whatever
you.
I share here, it's in your
Okay.
notes.
Thank
And for
you.
the whole purpose that you can share it. And
Okay.
like the one with that little baby with the patch, it's a screenshot. So it tells you which group I got it from, what day, so you can go back and find it and then share it with people.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, Al Capone, it's your turn.
Let's change chairs. The hat is creating pressure on my head and my head heats up. And here's one of the things that happens when your head overheats. It can actually cause baldness because it starts to kill the hair follicles and then they get overheated and then they fall out. It's an aging thing that I'm trying to avoid. So anyway, okie dokers. This is turning out to be our fun call. We've done calls for like 9 or 10 years and we just love the calls with you guys. So first thing we got to do is when I got off something triggered me last week. And then tonight, Cheryl said the same thing. She said, we've got a full evening And I suddenly stop and think, oh, I have to go fast to make up for the fact that it's a full evening. So last week, what happened is show was a little bit long, and I'd spent a couple hours with Lene making my notes, which I had to get through because I had my notes. And my tendency when I get under pressure is I go fast. And then I got off the call and got, God, Forrest, you're never going to build a business because you can't slow down, you can't self-regulate. And I had to go through a process of forgiving myself for doing that and then realizing that there's a learning curve. We're all in a learning curve as we're doing this. And when I was in my early network marketing careers, they always said, network marketing is a personal growth and development program disguised as a business. So many of those old sayings are good, but they're not quite right. And I was talking with Stephanie this morning. We were talking about a couple of things, and we were talking. I'm trying to figure out where I got to connect with you guys, and she said, I started following you and Cheryl about a year ago, and about a year before that, I was following Jamie Winship. And then when I saw you guys were doing Jamie Winship, and then this, it all kind of came together. And I said, am I overdoing the Jamie Winship thing, the identity piece? And she's like, no. What I realized for me at age 71 is that it is really easy for me to go back into the patterns of the past. You all relate to that? In other words, Stephanie started talking about a relative who's in a company called Prime America, which was originally A.L. Williams, which was originally an insurance company, still is, which was the very first network marketing company I did. And I quit my teaching career, which I was anointed to do, so that I could go sell life insurance with a company called A.L. Williams so I could get rich and have all the things I didn't think I'd ever have as a teacher. Okay. That took me into what I would call the deepest, darkest hole I've ever been in. And I've spent the last 50 years climbing out of that hole. But when I get ready to do the work with you guys, it's easy for that old stuff to come back in because it triggers the old. Does that make sense? And so we talk about our identity, and I'm looking at what it is that's in me to build with this business. And in order to build what I believe the Lord has told us to build, actually, we're building what my wife told me we were going to build the first time. That's when
Tell you, I just said I'm doing it because it's too important.
she said it's too important. So then I've had to come to grips with. I had to clear out a bunch of stuff to get there to do that. And I think Jamie would not have a massive following on the internet if this identity wasn't a big piece for everybody. And everything I've learned, I talk with people like Connie, and it's like we're all on a growth curve. We're all on it. And we've got to stay on that growth curve if we're going to do what it is we're called to do. In the past, what?
It's called to be first, and our being informs our doing. Never want to forget the sequence.
Yes.
Being and then doing.
So in the old school network marketing, we always said, fake it until you make it. How many of you remember that saying? Connie, you probably remember that in the good old days. And that just doesn't work. That's like lie until you keep on lying some more. So when I look at what we've got to teach and encourage and build, it comes back to the journal. I think that if you're going to do, some of you are going to do the patches because they're fun and they're easy and you get a few clients. Some of you are going to do it because you want to change the world. Some of you are going to do it because maybe you want to make $1 million. It's funny when I look at the comp plan, the top position, their global leader thing means $6.5 million a month in sales. And I thought about that and I thought, well, that's an awful lot. Do I really want to do that? Well, here's the thing. If the Lord has told Cheryl and me that we're going to build a global business, if I stop at 2 million instead of going to 6.5 million, what's the result of that? We shortchange a whole bunch of people. In other words, if this business grows to here and we stop, if we go to here, what's it do? In other words, we have the ability to expand and impact more and more people. So for me to limit myself in this business limits you and limits the team, unless some of you just go, Forrest is a mess. We're just going to build this in spite of him. Some of you might say that. That would be really cool too. One of the other parts of this that rang true was one of the early network marketing sayings was just throw a bunch of crap against the wall and watch for what sticks. Anybody remember that one? And when I was in Manatech, I thought, okay, if I just sell, and we sold these kits, these green boxes, Ron remembers them. And If I just sell enough green boxes, I'll get somebody that knows what they're doing. And if I get 2 people that know what they're doing, I'll become rich. And I kept thinking, I just need to sell more kits because somebody will eventually make me successful. And it turned, and because there were people in the company that worked for. And then they put those people on a stage and said, oh, look, Ron's really successful. And then I find out that Ron didn't do anything. He just got 2 people who did something. But Ron's the one that gets paraded around because he had 2 people put underneath him. So if we are going to truly have an impactful business, which we already have, right? In other words, Brenda just shared stories tonight. Mark and Ann have shared stories. Stephanie shared stories. Shelley shared stories. Ron shared stories. Glenda shared stories. Jeannie shared stories. Connie shared stories. Doretta has. Who else on here shared stories? A bunch of you have.
Jeannie.
Jeannie has. Kelly has. We already have an impactful business. But if we're going to build a big business, it takes time. And so what I want to start out with tonight, and then we're going to open this up, is I have really the last 3 months refocused my morning get going time. Jay talks about that in all of his training, and I'll just put this out there. We have Jamie is teaching from a pure scriptural standpoint. Jay is teaching from more of a neurological, some of you would say Eastern philosophy. The new product is called Zen. If you look up Zen, Zen's got a word that's going to trigger some people. But when I listen to Jamie and I listen to Jay and I listen to Cheryl, they're all saying the same thing with just 3 different languages. You with me on that? They're just saying it in different ways. Jay's stuff is exactly the same as Jamie's. It's just a little bit different. And then Cheryl shares it a little bit more differently than they do. So I have to take time in the morning. One of the things Jay says you have to do is you have to take time every morning to reset yourself around your vision. You've got to know what your vision is. You have to have time for those thoughts to get attached to emotions so that they get attached to actions so that we can move into that. Jamie, same thing. We've got to have time in the morning to hear from the Lord. Cheryl's 3 questions are,
Who have you called me to be in this season? What have you invited me into that with my unique talents I can bring transformation? And what am I doing that you never invited me into? So I ask those questions on a regular basis, and then when I'm working on a specific situation, the question is, it's 3 questions. What do you want me to notice? How do you want me to interpret it? And what's my role? So useful questions are what take you from your reactive part of your brain into your creativity, your learning, your ability to make and execute decisions. If you don't have a few questions that you can roll out instantly to interrupt processes that aren't useful, you're missing a really valuable key. You want me to repeat any of those, or did you get them?
Can we
One
get
more
a
time.
copy of those questions, please?
Okay, first one is, who have you called me to be in this season? I have prayed that every day since last March. So we're at like a good 10 months.
Hold that thought. Who have you called me is very different than who the world has told you you are. Who have you called me to be is hearing what the Lord has called you to do. And when I'm in the Word, it's continually like what He has said about us. There's so much He has said about us. And yet we have been programmed to live based on what little Joey said. I've been programmed. See, when I was in junior high, I looked across the gym at Connie, who was sitting on the other side. And I wanted to go ask Connie to dance. And I sat there the whole time thinking, does she like me? Doesn't she like me? How many of you can relate to that? And then I finally walk across, and the wrong girl thinks I'm talking to her, and she says no. And the whole thing goes to pot. And then I walk back across the room, and all my friends are laughing at me. And it's like, and so we've lived in that world of rejection from something as silly as a junior high school dance. We've lived in the world of rejection from who knows what, so many different places we've lived. So this whole piece of Jamie's is, who do you say I am? And what have you called me to be? Because we've got 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years of programs around what I thought Connie said to me when I walked across the room to ask her to dance. And that whole thing went south for me as a little junior high boy who got all messed up. You with me on that? Or something your parents said, something somebody said. So go ahead, Cheryl.
And the rest of it is, who have you called me to be in this season. This season is very different because I have thoroughly enjoyed being a practitioner, working one-on-one with clients. I just knew a year ago that the anointing to do that had lifted because it had gotten hard. That's just always a sign you're in a season change. So not only have I been praying that for me, I've been praying it for who have you called Lifestyle for Health to be. So if you have a company, I've prayed it for Forrest, I've prayed it for Anna, and I've been praying it for you guys since September, that the Lord would show you who he's called you to be, and that you operate with stewardship and multiplication 30, 60, 100 fold. And I also pray for those people that God has invited to be vice presidents in each leg of our business. So you're being prayed for every single day since September. So that's the who have you called me to be in this season. And even though he's given me more and more insight, I don't quit praying that because I want as much fullness as possible. And then the second part, this comes from Jamie, what have you invited me into that I can use my unique talents or giftings to bring transformation? So it's learning what can I do that's unique to me, because I can't do what Forrest does. There's just no way, but I have unique giftings, and I don't want to just go do something that won't produce transformation. So that all goes together. And then the third part is, what am I doing that either you didn't invite me into or you didn't invite me into it in this season? So I'm really being selective in what I do versus thinking just because I used to always do it, I still have to do it. So there's been a lot of pruning. And then the three
Well,
questions.
season change has changed across the land for everything, not just because we're older, not just because the job. The world is changing so fast. And even without all the other stuff, we've got all the AI. There's so much changing that being in the season, you used to be able to say, well, I'm in my midlife season. Now the season is like this year, this week, this month.
Just because I remember something Jamie said, the clearer you get on your being informs your doing. But most people look for is what am I supposed to do? So they're backwards. The key is who are you called to be? And as you get clarity on your being informs your doing. But the last three questions I've used for maybe 20 years with clients, with interacting. What do you want me to notice? Because like if you get a new red car, how many red cars will you see on the road? Like they're everywhere. It's different than before. So what do you want me to notice versus everything that's coming at my senses that will cause overwhelm? If the Lord points out what to notice, all of a sudden you move up here with laser focus. So what do you want me to notice? Second is really important. How do you want me to interpret what I'm noticing? And what's my role? Those three can lead to some pretty wise decisions and actions that produce results and good fruit.
So we are more than just a super patch business. This has opened up so many doors for me to go through, so many doors for Cheryl to go through, so many relationships for us to get connected to, and so many different things. We're not just doing a network marketing business. It's so much bigger than that. So first piece tonight, really, you guys are on these calls consistently because you're doing something. And we're talking more about that. But do y'all have a journal? Now, I know we sent out a bunch of them for Christmas presents to folks. I hate the kind that Cheryl mailed out because they got those little stiff binders on them. I went and found paper I liked, and this one has, you see, it's got this little dual thing on it, so it doesn't get all crushy and stupid like those cheap ones. Like I hate those composition ones. I have pens that I like. There we go. Christina's got one. I've got pens with different colors that I like. I hate those little cheap ballpoint Bic pens, so I don't use. We had a bunch of them. I threw them away because I don't like them. Okay, now I've thought about going back to a quill and an ink thing. And at one point, I seriously was looking at going to fountain pens because that seemed like a really cool thing to do. But I'm going to encourage you that if you are, some of you may be on these calls just because you like the community, you like the patches. See, we're all here for different purposes. But if you're actually looking at building a business and doing something significant with this, if your calling is to build, even if you're calling sell people, it's still to build. We can't sell. The dogs are going crazy on me. Sorry about that. Are you taking time each day to do a little bit of study, whether it's a Jamie, his book, Fearless Living Fearless. I'm on my third go through on that. I'm trying to listen to Jay's teaching once a week. We listen to stuff when we're out walking. This morning, I found somebody on YouTube that was like opened up a whole other thing we're going to look at for lifestyle for health. That was very cool. But then as you're learning and listening, are you writing and dreaming and thinking? In other words, are you taking time to actually put the thoughts together of what it is you're creating? Because what I'm creating right now, if I say I'm going to build a $6.5 million a month business, have I ever done that before? And is just throwing some crap against the wall and hoping some of it sticks going to work? Nope. And are all my old programs about not being good enough going to work? Nope. So if we're going to do what we really want to do with our lives, Cheryl and Forrest, at this age, there's a lot of reprogramming that has to happen back here because the old programs will keep coming in. That's why the stuff like what Glenda does, the emotion code, the clearing, the getting rid of stuff. There's so many different ways we can work on that. But the first piece is if you guys are working and building, and I'll tell you what, I was going to just read you my notes today, and it's like there's too many. I wrote 4 pages this morning. And I went through and highlighted what I was going to read to y'all. But the question, you've got Cheryl's questions. And uh-oh, what happened? There we are. Okay, we're good. So I wrote down 3 questions this morning that I answered. One, when people say to you, how are you today? How many of you ever get that question? How are you? How are you doing today? I thought, well, what's a good answer to that? I mean, what's a good answer to that? How are you today? Anybody have a quick thought on what's a good answer to how we got to get into some conversation here. I got to stop talking. If somebody says, how are you today? Other than just a coined, praise God, I'm great, or the weather's good. How
I'm
are you really?
blessed. I'm blessed.
Okay.
It's a good day to be me.
Good day to be me.
That's a good one.
I'm patched up and ready to go.
I'm patched up and ready to go. I wrote down, I'm building, because one of the words the Lord has given me is you're a builder. So I wrote down, how am I today? Well, I'm building. I'm creating. We were made to create. I'm creating today. That's how I am. I'm teaching today. I'm called as a teacher, so I'm teaching today. And the 4th thing is, I know that I'm supposed to make things better. So I'm making things better. I'm making better. I just like that. I'm making better. I used to want to get a hat that said, I'm making Forrest great again. Somehow it seemed like I was copying somebody else. So I'm just going to get a hat that says, I'm making better. Because my desire is to make things better. I don't want to just do a regular network marketing business. I didn't want just a pyramid compensation plan thing. So other thoughts, how am I doing today? And then who are you that never changes? What is in you that never changes? There's some stuff coming and going. What is in you that never changes? And I thought about that. And I thought, well, everything changes. Even being a husband changes because, I was a husband twice now. And so y'all know I was divorced once. So I thought, Cheryl said, well, you're a husband forever. And I said, no, but what am I forever? No matter what, I'm Anna's dad. That never changes. That can never change. Divorced, married, burned, crucified, whatever. I'm always her dad.
Can I add something to that?
And I'm always his beloved son and his beloved teacher. Those are the 2 things. So, but I've never always believed that. So I write about that. And then I wrote down, what is the foundation for change in me? Foundation for change is gratitude, which I've never been gratitude. I've always been resentful and angry. Cheryl?
So one of the things that will never change in Forrest's life is he's an amazing dad. That will never, never, never change. And if you talk to Anna, one of the things she absolutely treasures that will never change, and if you've been around Forrest for very long, you know it's true, he has a very contagious laugh. Once he laughs, everybody around has to laugh, even if what he said wasn't funny. His laugh is funny. And I still remember a movie the 3 of us went to, and we were down in front, and Forrest just lost it. He was laughing, and Anna was going, shh, shh, everybody can hear you, shh. And he just loses it. And I'm thinking, you 2 are egging each other on, and everybody in the theater can hear the 2 of you. But Forrest's laugh will never change. Anna has recorded it. So at the point in time that Forrest isn't here,
It's here.
she wants to
It's here.
hear her dad laugh. So every one of you have something that will never change that people remember about you. And if you haven't identified that and appreciate it, like I know Priscilla, it will never leave her to be hospitable and support someone because she did that during a very tough time for me. She was there with great hospitality. Mark and Ann have done that. These are people we've known for a long, long, long time, like forever. And when you've known people for years and decades, you begin to recognize there's certain qualities that are just an inherent part of who you are. And if you forget those things, having somebody in your life to remind you on a vulnerable day, would you just remind me of my strengths? That's priceless. That's priceless. And that's something you can speak into your team, people on this call. One of the things I appreciate about Doretta is she can just go talk to anybody. That is so not my strength. So not my strength.
It's an awkward strength.
But it's a great strength, and Doretta has no fear. And it reminds me, okay, if Doretta can do it, I could probably get a little bit better. So anyway, for what that's worth.
Okay, so journal time, so important if you're building and growing a team. You've got to, the writing is just so good to hear that guy go through in that video and explain what parts of the brain the writing goes to. Here's some other questions. What are you building? Why are you building? Who will you help? Are you fully engaged in learning and healing and growing into whatever it is you're called to be? Because some of you are sitting there like me going, it would be better just to crawl in a hole and wait until this whole world goes away and then die. And then Glenda goes, Forrest, I'm older than you and I'm not dying. And Ron goes, I'm older than you and I'm not quitting. So let's have a little fireside chat. We have to do more than just talk building blocks and circles and patches. We have to talk about what are you building for each of you that's unique to each of you? What's in you that wants to come out? And how are you going about pursuing that versus just carrying on the way we've always carried on? Like, I mean, do you want this as bad as Sophie does? She's going to keep barking until we go chase balls with her.
Yeah, exactly.
So, thoughts, comments?
I want to jump in real quick because I'm on the same page as you guys in similar journeys. I've done Jamie, and
Can you speak up, Ron? Ron, you're soft.
Okay. Get this one here. Any better?
A little bit.
A little bit. But I've read Jamie and love him. But I also on a similar path with Ed Rush and God Talks. And his 10-minute routine every day is to meditate and then to say, take any subject you want. What are the lies I believe about it? What's the truth? How do you want me to recode my neural pathways? And I'm going to put a link in thing, and it's called How God Led Me into Neuroscience. And it's out of the Great Britain. I've posted a couple of them. But when you take neuroscience, scripture, and meditation, they just all meld together. It's been so fun doing that. But I love being in the community. What I do is what is the same all the time. My purpose is, why are you here? What is your purpose? So I'm always trying to draw that out of people. So no matter what we talk about, we always come back to, well, why are you here? God created you for a reason. Do you know what it is? And you should be on a journey to find that out. So I'm so happy to be with you guys. And
thanks, Ron.
I've been all week on classes on AI and how to build a business. And if you want to make impact, you have to build a business, which means you have to make money. So how do you put that all together?
Yep. And, Super Pets brings so much to the table, but we all bring ourselves uniquely to this. Who's next? We're all going to have to get together, sit around a big table and just talk until nobody can hear each other talking. Christina, did you raise your hand? Yes.
I did. I raised my physical hand because that's easier to find than that button down there. I mean, I feel being a gardener and all, and I'm much more holistic in, all the things, the shampoos and all that stuff. I like making my own things. And to me, this fits right in that. It just fits in with the natural, the way the Lord made it. And I love how they kind of look like a fingerprint. So I always feel like it's the Lord's fingerprint on us trying to straighten out what's misaligned between our body parts and our brain. So
One of the
Good
things,
analogy, Christina.
one of the things
Thank
that for
you.
those of you that haven't journaled, here's how you learn how to journal. You take up paper and pencil and you just start writing. It doesn't matter what you write in your journal. Journaling is just a habit that starts when you start learning how to write. The reason there's lights, I get writing so I'm messy, but I'm learning to write neater because all of our founding fathers had great handwriting. You ever notice that when you look at all the founding fathers' documents, they all had great handwriting and they had great brains that goes together. Okay, so journaling, if you haven't been journaling, you just start. Next, who else has something to share? We got about 3 or more. If you stick to a minute each, I can get 3 or 4 more of you in. Anne?
I haven't journaled, even though you've suggested it, Cheryl, over the years. And this year I was gifted with 4 different things that pointed, and I've journaled several pages, not much, a line or 2 a day. But what I discovered was a lie that I'd been believing. And it's made a difference in the last week in my eating. Go figure. So thank you.
Lies can impact a lot. Good noticing. Thanks for sharing. What's in you guys that just is so begging to get out, and that you're just like, I think it's time. I think it's time. It's like I look at some of your faces, and it's like I see the wheels are turning and they're spinning, and I see words and little bubbles above your head. Why don't you share them?
Oh, and here's the other, I've got one more question as you're sharing. Oh, I kind of would like to know who wants to be the managing directors on the team, because when I looked at my whole business plan this morning, Lord said, you keep teaching this, but you don't know who your managing directors are. So some of you might want to just grab that comp plan, look at it, and decide if that's, where are you going on the comp plan in terms of promotions, so we know, because God said, how are you going to coach people if you don't know who you're coaching? I said, well, they all want to be managing directors. He said, really? So you might want to just look at the comp plan at some point and say, what is it you want to actually do, so we can actually have a separate game plan for you on that. So, okay. So back to what was your question, Cheryl? I interrupted you.
Good question.
Yeah, you're a really good question.
So what's in you begging to get out? Because I see the wheels turning and I see these words in little bubbles above you that haven't yet been spoken. Don't leave a call when you have an opportunity.
And you can type it into the comments if you want to too. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn off the recording.
No, don't do
No,
that.
don't leave it on. Okay, go ahead. Okay, go ahead. Who's next?
I'll share a little bit.
Okay.
Well, at the age of 53, I became a widow, and I had always been a stay-at-home mom and a
Oh, wait, who is this? I can't see who's talking. Who?
It's Raisha.
Oh, hi, Rachel. Okay, thanks. You're in the dark.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should put more lights on.
Okay.
But
Good.
so in my 50s, I went to Karis Bible College, and I was doing Trinity School of Natural Health at the same time. And I've always had this tug of war. Am I supposed to be in ministry or supposed to be in natural health? And so my desire is to help people. And so I just feel like the super patch is such a great way to be able to help people. But I'm still kind of in that tug of war of which direction to go, because my church is asking me to do more and more here. And we're in a little tiny town, like population 1,000. But it's just I love the super patch, and I think it has so much potential. But it just I think that's my thing. And I got to get back to the journaling. That's one of the things they taught us at Karis was the journaling. And I realize I've gotten away from that and feel like I'm not hearing God the way I should when I'm trying to find the direction I'm supposed to go. So this is great. I did get the book by Jamie Winship, and I'm trying to work through it, but I'm struggling just to sit down and write. So
write a sentence, keep it easy. And when that's easy, you can do 2 sentences. Just keep it easy. Just keep it easy. Don't make it hard. Just keep it easy.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Who else? The word bubbles haven't left some of your heads.
Sophie's over here. Y'all hear Sophie whining? I like to draw and create and build. I finally realized the reason I say I'm a builder is because I keep drawing out what this business is going to look like. I keep on paper and pencil drawing out what the business plan is. I did put in the notes today for those of you who want to know where it is. The full PowerPoint presentation on the building plan. That's in your notes, so you can print that out. It's a PowerPoint, not PowerPoint. I think it's a PDF. I think it's a PDF file. So you've got all the slides for what I drew out for our game plan, because I believe it's a really good game plan. I've been doing these for 30 years, ever since I failed the first time. And so if you're looking at how you want to build your business, you can print those slides out and start to play with them and get them in you. Okay. Builders are all just a bunch of talkers tonight, aren't they?
I'll say something. I always
Okay.
have something to say.
Yes, you do.
When it comes to journaling, when I quit worrying about punctuation and who might read it, and even would I be able to read my own writing when I went back to it, and threw that all away, then it flows. So no expectations.
It's not
just
an
start.
English test.
Right.
You know, if you're doing Jamie's book, there's always something you can read a page and write. There's so much out there. If you listen to Jay, he is so deep. It's like you can listen for 5 minutes and write for an hour on that, because he gives you specifics to reprogram yourself. Y'all remember, if you're working on your brain, he said 3 patches plus 1 hack. 3 patches for resetting your brain: peace, joy, and kick it. And if you don't want to wear the patch, he said you can shortchange everything with gratitude. So if you want to reprogram your brain, gratitude, or you've got the 3 patches, or you can do all of the work that we talk about doing to get yourself where you need to be. Jeannie, what do you want to say?
I have a really, really good friend. She's the most artistic person I know. She's a business and life coach. And when you sit with Robin and talk, she draws as you talk. She asks questions, much like Cheryl's just done. And when she draws as she does her, I'll say, retraining conversation. One of the things that she said to me, because she noticed I carried around a little bundle of highlighters, like colors. And these aren't them, but I've got a set, but they're not handy. Anyway, and Cheryl probably could explain this too, but I feel very strongly about a particular color. And I can look at them and go, I can write with this today. I can't write with this other one. And so I have to, kind of going back to the punctuation, that part of it, you get stuck in the details, but colors can open up the ability to write or draw or create something. And as Robin told me, I have an Ooey Gooey Center. It is there somewhere. She knows I have one. I need to find it. And so there's pieces of who you are, and the layer thing, but it really, you find pieces that work for you, and I find that colors work for me.
Color is great. Color does all kinds of things for the brain. Anybody else?
Darlene, you should have got an email like from us, like we always send out email. Been out at 3:00 today from Lifestyle for Health. I can send the notes to you if you don't have it. Just send me a note to remind you. But the notes always have a little button on them that tells you where the notes are. Okay, we need to wrap up because the dogs are hungry. And next time we're going to keep having these chats, so y'all might want to just think about chatting more. One of the benefits in the past with network marketing meetings was we had meetings in offices. Then you hung out and talked to everybody. And now we don't get to do that, which is really great because everybody can be at the meeting without having to drive. I used to have to drive an hour each way to get to a network marketing meeting once a month so that I could fail. But I felt like I was being successful because I drove an hour each way to get there. And there's always a meeting with the same old people. And this call is dynamic and alive. And there's so many resources and so much happening here, and just want to keep getting you guys connected. So no call next week. We're flying on Wednesday to Las Vegas. Now, a reminder, is everybody in the WhatsApp group? Got to get in the WhatsApp group. If you're on WhatsApp, you put WhatsApp on your phone. It's like WhatsApp, AP. It's an app you down.
WHATSAPP. It's an app. It's free.
It's a little green icon. You put on your phone or your laptop. Okay. And then there's a group in there called LFH Super Patch. It's got a picture of me and Cheryl. You can't miss it because it's one of the better looking pictures in the WhatsApp program. And you need to join the group. And then if you've got people on your team, put them in the group because that's the easiest way for us to get stuff out. And I used to think the app was hard. Somebody said it's kind of hard to figure out. It's like everybody in the world uses it. So therefore you can figure it out. Okay. So get in the WhatsApp group. Jeannie, don't give me that stuff. Just, you can figure this out, girl. You're going to have to do this.
If I can figure it out, trust me, you can.
I need a 6-year-old.
Okay, I want to pray for everybody.
Okay, Cheryl's going to pray for you and then we're going to go.
Father God, I just thank you for this amazing group that stirs such life in us. Father, I thank you for the stories that are coming forth of changed lives. Father, I thank you for all those little word bubbles I see over people's heads where desires and dreams and wanting to make a difference is bubbling up and bubbling up. Father, I ask that nothing can constrain those bubbles, that those desires can surface, they can have a voice given to them, that people are so transformed with what you've put inside of them to be and to share, to make a difference, that nothing can hold it back. Nothing from the past, none of the lies, none of the past failures. Father, I just ask that that would be severed off of each and every person, all of that past garbage, and that, Father, what you are calling them, who you are calling them to be, and the desires to bring transformation become so strong, it just falls out of their mouth so naturally, so easily, and people respond from the heart because what they shared came from their heart. Father, I thank you for anointing on each and every person in this team. Father, we are so blessed to have an opportunity to interact with each and every person. I ask that not only will you continue to help us, but each person to know how to steward multiplication, 30, 60, 100-fold. I ask that you would help us to steward the opportunity for lives to be transformed, generations to be transformed, that you would continually give us eyes to see what's in front of us and how we can make a difference. And in the process, Father, I ask that you increase our capacity to be in such gratitude of all that's been given to us, that in a world that's dealing with so much drama, you are blessing us exceedingly abundantly above all we can ask or think. I thank you for your anointing on each and every person. I thank you for opening up their mouths to be able to easily share, opening up their hands to easily write, open up their nervous system to be brought into peace and calm in every single area possible. And Father, we just thank you for who you are and all that you're doing to change our lives. And we just give you all the praise, the glory, and honor. And everybody said, amen, amen, amen.
Just real quick, Rachel, the WhatsApp group, it says LFH Super Patch Builders. That's what you can look for. That's our group. And you guys can add people to that's open-ended group. So if you've got people on your team to add to it, do it. I can't add people that I don't know. So get them. And then individually, any of you that need coaching or help on structuring and building, just the logistics of building, I can't get everybody called, but if you call me, you'll get talked to. So we will work with those of you that engage at that level, and then we'll keep going with it from there. So I think that's everything for tonight. Okay.
You guys have a blessed evening. We'll for sure see you in 2 weeks, and who knows what might come out of one or the other of us next week.
I'm looking forward to those self-peeling patch kits to get your skin ready. It's called an exfoliating kit. That's what it is.
Thank you, guys. It was awesome.